Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. We begin with a story developing across multiple Launceston suburbs tonight. There have been reports of 2 separate armed robberies and a crash involving what's suspected to be a getaway car linked to the incidents. We cross live now to our reporter Sean McComish. Sean, good evening. What's unfolded there?
Joe, details are still scarce at this stage, but what we do know is that just before 5 p.m, a light blue sedan has collided with a truck here on Penquite Road in Newstead. The paramedics rushed to the scene as police and detectives sealed off streets around the neighbourhood. And just hours before, officers had been searching for a similar car following 2 reported armed robberies. The first was at the BWS store in Ravenswood, with the second at the Top Shop in Waverley at around 3:30. It's believed the offender entered the stores and produced a gun. Police began searching the area but were soon called to the crash scene. Paramedics spent quite some time trying to extract the driver. Their condition and the condition of the truck driver is still unknown. And in just the last few minutes, police have confirmed they believe the man behind the alleged armed robberies was also involved in the crash. Emergency services remain on the scene behind me, but as always, anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Joe?
Residents from Hobart's eastern shore have described the moment a wall of flames approached their homes in the early hours of this morning. Families were forced to flee in the middle of the night as crews worked desperately to control a fire suspected as deliberately lit.
This bright glow, the frightening scene facing residents of Hobart's eastern shore around 2 o'clock this morning.
We got woken up and looked out the window and there was just a wall of flame coming down from Mornington Hill.
Yeah, it was so scary, and I just looked out and all the bush behind our house was just on fire.
Homes are nestled around the perimeter of this bushland. A usually peaceful vista turned scary.
Dad was out the back with the hose, just making sure nothing came onto the roof or into the backyard.
Some residents advised to leave, strong winds fueling the fire.
Just worried to get out. I thought, well, we'll have to get out. If you're told, that's what you do.
We literally only had a few minutes and we basically got in our cars and left.
It's understood a blaze was also sparked here at around 8 last night and brought under control. By the early hours, another was tearing through.
It's bone dry at the moment, yes, we just haven't had the rain.
12 fire crews brought them under control. Despite nationwide total devastation, both blazes are being treated as deliberately lit.
We've always been all right here, but not last night.
Because we do fuel reduction burning in here, it's made a big difference for this fire not to travel.
This area, called Waverley Flora Park, is quite popular with bushwalkers and bike riders, but it's been closed for hours today as crews conducted blacking out operations and felled any dangerous trees.
When we leave the area, we're pretty thorough. We'll make sure it's safe for people to walk through.
Police wouldn't comment on camera about the fire investigation, but have urged anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers. Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
As we go to air tonight, climate change protesters are hitting the streets of cities across the country, venting anger over the national bushfire crisis. Our reporter Ebony Ablett has this report from Parliament Lawns in Hobart.
The political fallout from the ongoing bushfire crisis is spilling onto Hobart's Parliament Lawns tonight. Hundreds have turned out here, joining national rallies. Protesters are angry about what they say is government denial and inaction over climate change. This local rally has been organised by the Extinction Rebellion group, and they're demanding a transition away from fossil fuels, as well as more support for affected communities, volunteer firefighters and the environment.
Without adequate action now, we are heading towards the end of civilization and the end of Earth as we know it. We will not be able to live on this planet in the end of this century if we don't act now.
Now, this is one of a series of protests happening in capital cities across the country tonight, with massive crowds also turned out in Melbourne and Sydney, and more rallies planned for the other capitals in the coming hours.
Tasmania's Corrections Minister Elise Archer has defended her statements around assaults which occurred at Risdon Prison between the Christmas and New Year period. The government initially said there had been no series of assaults, when in fact there were 11 incidents.
I didn't want to get into a war of words, but the allegation was relating originally to correctional officers. There hasn't been a series of assaults, or indeed serious assaults, against correctional officers between Christmas Day and New Year.
The government clarified 10 incidents occurred between inmates and 1 reported assault against a staff member over the holiday period. A man and a teenager have been charged with firearm offences after they allegedly fired shots in 2 Launceston suburbs last month. Police were called to New Street at Invermay on December 19 and Waring Street in Ravenswood on December 28. No one was injured during the incidents. A 26-year-old Invermay man and a 17-year-old from South Launceston have been remanded in custody to appear in court. Anticipation is building for this year's FOMA Festival, with the jam-packed program due to begin in less than 24 hours. While performers are putting the finishing touches on their shows, local businesses are also bracing for an influx of festival goers.
It's a dance performance like no other. Interactive, immersive and at times frightening.
A work that's 100% audience interactive, so we rely on the crowds of FOMA to come in and interact.
Rival groups Tasdance and Stompin joining forces for a unique 2-hour show, fittingly named Reactor. It sees dancers respond to audience movement.
Their performers really get to have their own personal interpretation of movement and dancing, and this is something that we're really interested in.
It's almost like you're in a video game, so you have the controls and you kind of have to work out what those controls do.
While creatives are getting in the mood ahead of tomorrow's FOMA launch, at local hotels the phones are running hot and bookings are filling up fast.
I'd say 30 to 40% we would see an increase on what you would expect at that time of the year, so it's very good.
Around 50,000 art lovers are predicted to attend the 10-day program. The Chamber of Commerce says the economic benefits will be far-reaching.
From our wonderful coffee culture in Launceston, hotels, restaurants, bottle shops, you name it, taxis, Uber, everyone's going to get a crack at this. It's really good.
All the entertainment begins tomorrow from 10 a.m. at Royal Park. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's Breast Cancer Detection Service has received special recognition. BreastScreen Tasmania has been presented with a commendation by a national accreditation authority. The achievement recognising its outreach and screening clinics, which have been highlighted for having a strong client focus.
Early detection is so important. You might feel well and you could be walking around with a breast cancer that you don't even know, and that's why screening mammograms are so important.
Tasmanian women can have confidence that they are receiving the highest quality service of this nature right here in Tasmania.
The service provides free breast cancer detection screenings to women over the age of 40. People from interstate are escaping the bushfire emergencies and thick smoke by travelling to Tasmania. That includes campers at the Hobart Showgrounds, who are today getting involved in a special effort to help injured wildlife in their home state.
Cutting out patterns to turn this donated material into healing help for injured animals. The Avery family currently visiting Tasmania from bushfire-ravaged New South Wales, where late last year their home came under threat.
Sprinklers on the roof running 24/7. We had some people that were isolated, that were friends of my mother's, and they were living in the house as well. And every day they don't know if they're going to go home to a house, what was happening.
While they were thankfully spared from the devastation, many across the country haven't been so lucky.
Seeing all the devastation through social media, I thought there has to be something we can do, and we've got all these fabulous large rooms here at the showground, so we decided to put on a Sewing for the Wildlife Day.
More than 100 community members visited the Hobart Showgrounds during the day to help out where they could, donating food, material and their time in order to help animal welfare charities working in bushfire-affected areas.
The missions are going to South Australia, Koala Rescue, and the pouches and blankets are going to Wires in Victoria.
You know, it wasn't hard to sort of come here and make pouches and all this sort of stuff for the animals that, you know, we had a lot of time with.
Goods for donation will still be accepted next week via the showground's main office. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
Earlier this week, we brought you the story of a 9-year-old boy washing cars to raise money for bushfire victims. Well, he's not alone. Another young Tasmanian with a passion for gardening is quickly digging up funds for recovery efforts.
She's not a celebrity with millions to spare, but Peter Lynn is a gardening gun with a big heart.
We were in Lakes Entrance and we saw lots of smoke and lots of sad people. So I decided to help them.
Setting to work with secateurs, she's using her school holidays to sell seeds sprouting in her grandmother's garden. Although keeping tabs on the ever-expanding operation is a challenge.
Peas, pumpkin seeds and aquilegia.
So far, she's raised $130 for Victoria's Country Fire Authority, and there's still plenty of stock left to clear. Mum is proud to say the least.
It's phenomenal seeing the amount of kids that want to help, and I mean, even if they just give their pocket money, it's still amazing because that's huge for a kid to give over something that was theirs.
The 10-year-old is something of an entrepreneur, already running her own business, giving credence to the saying, from little things, big things grow. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Punters at this year's January festival will have an extra reason to top up, with profits to be donated to those affected by devastating bushfires in New South Wales and Victoria. 10% of ticket sales will be set aside, with Tasmanian distillers also chipping in to what's being spruiked as the world's biggest gin raffle. Proceeds are expected to total close to $30,000.
We have distilleries interstate who have been affected by the fires, as well as many people displaced, and as well as all the animals.
January will begin in 2 weeks' time. The characters from Sesame Street have entertained and educated children for 5 decades, and now the team is being brought to life here in Tasmania. Joining them on tour are some of the world's best performers for a Circus Spectacular organisers say will entertain young and old.
Celebrating 50 years of an iconic television show in style. Grandparents, parents and children gathering together to watch their favourite Sesame Street characters.
What we've tried to present here is a family tradition where the whole family, that family time where we can get the whole family together and come out and have a fantastic time.
Also joining them are 18 different acrobats and daredevils from as far away as Ethiopia and Argentina. Their acts range from the dazzling to the risky globe of death, featuring up to 4 motorcycles at once. Organisers taking no chances to ensure the stunts are safe.
There's been 11 rehearsals since we arrived in Hobart. We've even had to hire external because this is our brand new theatre that we built in Italy. It wasn't ready for.
Michael Keane is the face of the show, playing the role of ringmaster. He says the characters have the ability to connect with all generations.
It's really interesting seeing grandparents who still remember the show from their younger years with their kids, and then parents and then their children, and so it's a fantastic thing to be a part of.
Early reviews suggest the show is a hit with Sesame Street's newest audience.
I like the dogs and their spingy thingy.
What was your favourite part?
Probably the motorbikes.
The Circus Spectacular will run in Hobart until February too, before travelling through Launceston and Somerset until March. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Matthew Wade says he wasn't aware of the contentious rule which ended his innings last night at the Gabba. Wade top scored for the Hurricanes in their loss to the Brisbane Heat, but his dismissal has sparked calls to review the laws of the game. The Gabba was under the spell of Matthew Wade's rule.
So he goes, he opens the shoulders and he clears the rope. That's his 50 up.
Before one rule ended Wade's spell.
So he goes high and long Renshaw getting under it. He's right on the rope. He takes the catch. He bats it back, but he's over the rope.
A shrug of the shoulders, mass confusion, but the over-the-boundary catch was legal because Renshaw first touched the ball inside the boundary and was airborne when he touched it again.
I had no idea of the rule, really. Once he hit the outside the field of play, I didn't know if he was allowed to touch the ball or not.
The laws of the game changed only a few years ago to permit this type of catch.
We've got to question whether that should be the rule or not, because there is clearly a lot of people out there who think that it is a crazy rule.
With Wade gone, the Canes collapsed to a hungry heat.
And gets in! Brilliantly done! Well called, Copes. And that is a brilliant catch.
Case Ahmed gave a toss, but the end result was meek. Scott Boland kept the Canes in some sort of touch.
Underneath this, there could be a collision here. Oh, Clive, that was great concentration.
He added another 2 wickets in 3 balls before George Bailey produced some magic to see the end of Chris Lynn, but the slim total was no match for Jimmy Pearson and Ben Cutting. They bashed away to reach the target with 10 balls to spare, heaping more misery on the Canes season. Next game is Saturday night against the Sydney Thunder. Jake Doran and Jake Reid will join the squad in place of Mac Wright and David Moody. Turning to tennis now, and with the Hobart International about to begin, players are putting in their final preparations ahead of the first round. John Hunt joins us now from Government House. And John, good evening. What are the players doing in there tonight?
Good evening, Tom. The players are being welcomed here at a dinner event hosted by Tasmania's Governor. 32 singles players and 16 doubles pairs will take part in the event, chasing $275,000 in prize money. 10 of the world's top 50 will take part, headlined by world number 17 Elise Mertens and two-time Grand Slam winner Gabrielle Muguruza, who won the Hobart International in 2014. Also headlining the field is 2011 US Open champion and crowd favourite Samantha Stoza, and she joins us now. Samantha, good evening. What made you make the Hobart International part of your preparations for the Australian Open?
Well, I've played in Hobart on a few occasions for this event. Also played Fed Cup down here many years ago, and I just really love playing in front of this crowd. It's a really great centre court, and I think the fans and everyone really look forward to the tennis here. So it's an awesome event to get the year started.
What do you think of the field this year? Who do you think will be a contender?
Probably many contenders, but as usual, the events leading into the Aussie Open are always really tough. I think the cut was about 77, so to be top 77 in the world, to have to the only ones who can play this event, you're going to play some very good players. So if you can get through here, then you'll be in good form leading into Melbourne.
And finally, apart from the tennis, will you get a chance to see some of the state's attractions?
Oh, absolutely. I've actually had a couple of holidays down here in Tassie, so I really enjoy coming down here. I'd love to go to Mona again, and yeah, hopefully get out and about, see the town and see what's changed over the years.
Sam, thanks for your time and good luck this week.
Thanks very much.
And Tom, the qualifying for the tournament gets underway tomorrow, with the tournament proper beginning on Monday.
Good evening. For those that have been hearing the sound of raindrops today, it must have been music to the ears. Bit of a long spell between some decent falls. Top fall today was 23 millimetres at Lake Margaret, but showers crept over a fair portion of the state. Hobart 30 degrees, Launceston 25, Burnie 20 and Devonport 21. The warmest was 32 at Campania, with some temperatures up to 8 degrees above average. Flinders Island 31, St Helens and Friendly Beaches 29, Ouse 28, Strawn 23 today, Low Head 19 degrees. The rain band right over Tasmania today. The waters to our west becoming clear as the cloud band moved to the west coast and across the state. The cloud band runs from central Western Australia along the South Australian and Victorian coast to our region. The whole of northern Australia has extensive convective cloud. Tomorrow, a high over the Bight dominates the weather over southern Australia, a large area of low pressure over the tropics. The winds west-southwesterly 20 to 30 knots, reaching 35 to 40 knots over the south and lower east, gradually easing in the afternoon. But we do have a gale warning from Wineglass Bay to Low Rocky Point and a strong wind warning for all remaining waters, including the inland lakes. Saturday for Hobart, windy, partly cloudy and 19 degrees after that warm temperature today. 14 for Maydena, winds easing from Oatlands, 16 the high. For Launceston, top of 22, mostly sunny, partly cloudy for Devonport, 19. 1 overnight for Lyowini, a top of 11. Burnie partly cloudy and 18. 17 the high for Strawn and Marrawar with possible showers in the west. St Helens, mostly sunny and 23, 21 for Swansea, Orford partly cloudy and 20 degrees. The UV is very high over Hobart and extreme elsewhere around the state. On Sunday, fine apart from a light morning shower over the west and far south. Fine to mostly sunny on Monday, partly cloudy over the northern half. And on Tuesday, fine again with southeast to northeast winds. Sunny and warm in Perth, cloud clearing from Adelaide, cloudy and 19 in Melbourne, a shower or two forecast for both Sydney and Brisbane. A little cloudy over Hobart, 16 at the moment, cooling down in Launceston, still some rain about and 14, and showery over Devonport and 14 degrees. That's the weather, Joe. And as always, I wish you a very happy weekend.
Dripping in sarcasm. Thank you very much for that, Murph. That's all from the news team for now. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.